Hello there YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're going to be watching episode 14 of Monogatari Off and Monster Season. Very excited to be here doing just that. I'm under the impression that next week is a break? Question mark? Because here's the thing, I loaded up my completely legal streaming site and then I saw that next week's episode isn't there and I'm one behind. So that tells me that what I'm about to watch is the latest one at this current point of recording, and potentially there's been a week break, which also potentially tells me that this episode is the last episode of the arc. That's what I'm pretty sure I know, because I didn't get any feedback one way or the other last week based on that video. So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know if this is going to be the last one of the arc of Shinobu Mastered, but I'm pretty sure it is. And then from there, we'll obviously move on to something else. I believe there's been a week break at the end of each of these arcs thus far, so maybe that's what we're doing there. I've also subsequently remembered upon opening the thing today that I didn't write anything for last week, and last week was a big one, so I guess I'll just try to recount something off the top of my head and potentially do a lot of the writing a little bit later on, after I finish the episode here today. What happened? We learnt everything. So essentially, again, there was two vampires that were doing the killings, the vampirizations. One of them was Deathtopia. One of them was Deathtopia Virtuoso Suicide Master. And yeah, she decided to feed out of desperation, essentially, and then want to impress Shinobu upon seeing her, right? Seeing Kiss shot again after a long time, I want to impress her. I want to look my best. Therefore, out of that side of desperation, that's why she chose to feed. And then upon feeding, she fed on the wrong person. It gave her food poisoning. Again, there's something there with the language chosen and not thanking the meal and that kind of thing, not being thankful for the meal, and that kind of potentially feeding into this entire process. The one that she fed on was one Sowa Kaseki, and that was the first student in the girls' basketball club. Accidentally, we made her a vampire. And now she's been the one that's been doing the rest of the vampirizations within the club for all the motivations that have been laid out in the rest of the arc that kind of pointed towards someone in the club being involved here. Then, of course, Sowa Kaseki from there has been kind of spreading misinformation. She seemingly has a link into whatever the hell our investigation is doing and is trying to throw us off the case. So essentially, she's been the one responsible for the codes. She's been the one responsible for some other weird shit, all of the stuff chucked in a locker. She's trying to throw us off the scent, essentially. This comes to a head when we figure that she's going to attack again tonight, and the primary suspect, we believe at current time, will be Kambaru, or at least somebody attending Kambaru's little slumber party. Therefore, Araragi rushes on over to attend said party, and now has been kind of coerced into cross-dressing. Because reasons, you know, Monogatari, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm imagining we're going to meet with Sowa Kaseki, who is blonde, which is a weird thing for Monogatari. I don't think we have, besides Shinobu, I don't think we have many other blonde characters. Meme is kind of blonde. Anyway, I digress. So we're going to go watch the episode now, but I should shout out my Patreons first. Let me go do that. This is actually kind of funny because I recorded Haibane Renmei earlier today. Also, emotionally draining show. Hopefully we can get something a little bit happy-go-luckier before the Monogatari and this recording session day that I've been doing. But I'm still pretty depressed. I'm still pretty taken aback by it. It was happy in the end. Anyway, I'm rambling. But yeah, I did the Patreon shout-out at the start of that one, but I have 2 new patrons as of between recording that one and recording this, which is pretty fun. I like that. But yeah, you can be a patron. You can be 1 week ahead. You can access the next Monogatari episode. That is your prerogative for you to pursue that at your leisure. All those things I normally say. And yeah, jumping in here, we have Mickey Babbers, Trails++, Acomancer, /Bobbin, Chobo Ribby, Dapper Dwarf, Domobot, Ichu, Ed, Fancy Question Mark, Fleur Nightingale, Fruit, Gloriana Tenebrae, Glyke, Greybeard, Gus N, Heath, Ika, Yako Yavanen, Jacob R, Joran, Kelvin, Kimskel, Clem, Nosta, Cot Begemot, Lou, Mistake L Chen, Nailu, Need, Parnik, Pencil Sharp 333, Raga Shingo, Ronlad BNK, Saint Lily, Sal, Sam1373, Skeleton, Vueko, Without a Net, Zan Echo, Yuki Ali, Zach, Binchi, Hans Peter, Marsh, Voodoo Chili, and Aidan O'Brien. Thank you to all those people for giving me money. Let's jump into episode 14 of Monogatari Off and Monster Season. Patreon, you can join the Discord and talk to me about the show. Like the video, subscribe. Let's do this thing. Let's jump in. May I offer you a popsicle in this trying time? We have episode 14 of Monogatari off in Monster Season up there ready to go. 26 minutes and 5 seconds on this one, so a little bit longer of an episode here today as well. Probably befitting of the finale, I would say, for an arc. A pretty long arc at that rate, so yeah, makes sense to me. I'm using the subs please version, so yeah, go get that if you want to. I'm really stumbling with my voice here today, which doesn't bode well. There's a picture-in-picture version in the description below as well. As always, let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, I mean, okay. I didn't think it would be straight in. Oh, this is great. Oh, great. Position 0? They're just having the time of their lives here, for sure. Double Timu? Oh my god. What is Araragi's play going to be? Damn. What is that name? Sure. Oh. Great. Okay, fun. Yeah, Kambaru's having the time of her life here too, for other reasons. Alright. No, give us your self-introduction. Quick. Their hair was very similar, I thought. What? Okay, I don't know. Nothing but net. Oh, great, this is coming back. Oh, what? Okay, I don't get it at all, but sure. That's what the segment after this part is about, me getting it. Oh, that was like Batman, cool. I wanted an Araragi self-introduction. What's the point if we don't get that? Come on, dude. It's really just building up to a Kambaru joke? Come on, show. Come on. Kambaru joke good, though. I like Kambaru. I wonder if you did like a search on the script for my videos and just kind of searched for I like Kambaru and see how many times it comes up. Because I think it'd be a fair few. Do you guys know that I like her? I think she's pretty good. Ooh. Hair's annoying me today. It means I need a haircut. It's generally what it indicates. Thank you, Shinobu Monogatari. I see. Where we needed, then? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, calling her in, huh? Okay. Yeah. But I got revived. It's not your fault. You framed me, you charlatan. Huh. Yeah. Huh. Okay, interesting. 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 Okay. What, wanting to be a vampire? Yeah, I can think of one other example. Huh. Yeah, and the timing there too. And what is that? Bon appetit. We are the only ones. Yeah, but it was, pretty extreme circumstances. Yeah, she got there in the end. Yeah. Do you feel better? You got your revenge? Interesting that you've come to this conclusion very early. Hmm. Yeah. I mean, did you not read into what a vampire was before? Zetsubo. Hell yeah. Yeah. Go on. Hmm. Oh. Here you go, business deal. Eat me. That's very Araragi and Shinobu. We seem to have a little bit of buyer's remorse. More power, you say? Ugh. Which way, Western man? I kind of want to be Eden, which may also be a trick. So, what's the catch? Oh, are you at the end of your tether? Interesting. So, dying of starvation, you'd rather not do that and rather have someone kill you? A little bit. Well, kind of. If I'm gonna die regardless, it's weird. Very, very important. Chat room. Very important. Mm-hmm. Love the spotlighting here too. There's three choices. You could also walk away. Huh. Thank you. Please kill me. Alright, where's Shinobu? Thoughts? What's your vampire name? I see. We were wrong. Yeah? That's why that didn't make much sense last week. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. True. Hmm. I see. So they were always talking in that room. Agreed. True. Gotcha, because she didn't have that piece of information. So Kambaro was still the target. She just went to the wrong place. That's me. Cross-dressing, as you do. What's up? I was looking at the hair there on that character design, and I was like, yeah. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I've gone through a pretty similar experience. I don't think I will. Would they rather be fucking dead? I don't know, maybe. Let's ask them. Okay. No? I grew up. Dark blue. Yeah. When the hell were you a kid? Fucking ages ago. I'm the protagonist? As opposed to the dark blue. Oh, there's self-introduction. Yeah, true. Sup? Do we think Araragi's gonna fucking die? Oh! Yes! Thank you. Seifu. Oh, the Bluetooth is great. You definitely have taught me that before. Damn, talking smack. Back then? Talk to me. Thank you, Mom. You saved the day. Don't care, didn't ask. Shinobu's presence there was felt, though. Let's go. Style icon. She's here. The blue. Yeah. Wait, there's a cure? Which one? She got deported? Hell no. Oh, they're at the airport again. That's great. Yeah, no. I would agree. She is a going concern. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Oral promise? Why would you frame it like that? Oh, yeah. The one at the very start. Yeah, she's gonna leave you alone. Okay. I'm building a team? You're not wearing a watch, Gahara-san. FC. I'm part of the fan club. Man, I wish I could read. Oh, because you're still interfering like that? That's a good line. I like that. Oh, never. Yeah. But you do hesitate. Yeah. Hesitation's good. Sometimes. Heh. Yeah, okay, sure. What a random ending. Give me 10 trillion guesses. I'm not guessing that that's the way we went. Now that you mention it, no, Kaganui was pretty well set up. So, like, that's pretty expected, I would say. There are a few... I'd love to rewatch the arc. I wish I had the time. From the very start to see if there's some better clues about the whole Kie information leaking side of it, that kind of thing. Very clearly, she's reflecting Araragi back at him in a lot of ways, right? Like, she's got this very adolescent point of view, which, again, can you still relate to? Ultimately, he hesitates to the point where he can still relate to it, and that's when Kaganui has to come in and save the day. There's obviously also parallels between Kie and Shinobu, obviously. Both being kind of vampirized by Deathtopia. So I'm interested to dive into all of that stuff. And it's nice to see Senjo. That was good. I like Senjo. I like the fit. She's very business. She looks very smart, which is good. I don't have much else to say. We'll see. Don't know. So yeah, I'll come back in but a moment and we'll discuss that episode once again. There will be a fair bit to talk about. It was a longer one and there were some pretty in-depth conversations there. So again, we'll see how we go. And we're back, episode 14, in the books, in the bag. What did I think? It was pretty cool. It made me laugh a lot, and that's normally a good sign. I was pretty well interested throughout because I would like to see the content. Obviously, we're drawing a lot of parallels. Obviously, those Monogatari scholars in the audience will be able to take those parallels to the nth degree and speak with a little bit more confidence than myself. I liked what I saw. I liked the character of Kie. Again, framed from Araragi's point of view, her problems can be seen as quite juvenile. Her problems can be seen as quite insignificant. And I think that's very purposeful. I think we're putting the shoe on the other foot and we're showing a mirror to Araragi and what he used to be like, right? And parts of his personality being reflected to him through this other character. Araragi in this arc both simultaneously realizes he has grown up, he has grown from this, he disagrees with her hypotheses, but not to the point where he's able to act in pure ruthlessness. He's not able to act on instinct like a Kaganui. In that way, the show simplifies it. I'm not an adult yet, I'm still a child in that respect, and in that way, he appreciates that somewhat. He appreciates his naivete when it comes to that kind of position. And again, I think on every level, somebody has something where they're not acting with absolute authority on. I think the framing is interesting, because me as an audience member, I'm like, fuck that, Kie, you shouldn't be killing all those students and you wanting to become a vampire for revenge and blah, 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 blah. That seems like you going overboard. That seems like this. That seems like that. Is that not part of Araragi's whole point of view upon Kizu? Like, it's different. Araragi doesn't value his own life to the point where he's able to give it up for somebody he doesn't know. That's like the kind of premise for Kizu in a lot of ways, right? And him kind of overcoming that and him coming on the out on the other side of that, is a big part of that story. There is also parts in Kizu where Araragi appreciates his new vampiric powers and the benefits that that gives him, right? That it gives him. Again, I'm seeing that kind of philosophy reflected back at him, of course. I'd like so again, is the idea that Shinobu was in Shinobu was in his shadow the entire time. So she went to the slumber party as well. I don't know why I was under the impression that Shinobu was just chilling at the fucking at Kambaru's house still. I thought that she was always there, but that didn't seem to be the case. Seems like when she approached, it was via the shadow. I guess the two are still linked. I gotta remember that. She can't just separate now, I guess. Anyway, I digress. We should go back through this episode in some manner order. I think, again, I'm not sure writing down all the various specific details now that I've finished this arc about the flipping-flopping between Soa Kaseki, Harumaze Kie, that whole thing is particularly suited for the Google Doc, writing down all the minutiae there. I think just an overall statement of what we can expect going forward from the end of the arc is more apt. Again, mostly because I don't want to do the work, because, again, it's pretty involved, but, yeah, I'm not sure that's entirely necessary. I haven't talked about Deathtopia at all either. Deathtopia is very interesting and kind of almost, in some respects, yeah, definitely willing to give up her own life at that point. And the irony, of course, of this old acquaintance in Kaganui coming to her savior, right, when the two have been adversaries in the past. So, again, there's an irony there. There's a twist, for sure. But either way, let's go back through. You're not finishing the video by just sitting here talking about nothing, so... We start the episode here with a good bit of comedy. Here is cross-dressing Araragi. Very cool. I like that quite a bit. I was expecting them to go around and do the self-introduction joke, and Araragi need to do his self-introduction as well before we dived into the content. That wasn't the case. I did feel there was an element to the joke, an element to this part of the story that was missing, and lo and behold there was. We do a character introduction for Kie a little bit later on. It is also very funny, my interpretation of Kie from last week, because I'm like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Deathtopia definitely was alive when she saw Kie. The audience knows that, Araragi does not. Gotcha. So again, when I'm looking at that, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I was right. It didn't make any sense because I was operating on the wrong information. So again, very funny. I like that kind of came full circle. Here we are, self-introduction time, everybody. Starting with Higasa. Everybody does, again, their name, their position, and their favorite play. That is what they're doing here. Now, again, I'm not particularly familiar with basketball, so I'm not going to be able to tell you anything about these specific plays. I do think there is value, of course, in Kie's play being fake, but we'll talk about it when we get to it. Particularly enamored here with, say your name once again, please. Sylvia Sivsivere, something like that. This name is clearly not Japanese. You're a foreign student, and you're also extremely tall. You're my height reveal, everybody. Oh my god. And you play center, so like, I know enough about basketball. They're meant to be like the tall one is the center, right? I like her. I didn't expect like a lanky foreign student to be part of the gang here. And of course, because Kanbaru isn't in the club anymore, she needs to say a different position. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And also, yeah, play and that kind of thing. It's just good. It's good stuff. Araragi says some nonsense here about like how he's figuring the kind of connection between the 5 victims or the 4 victims or whatever else. I don't really get it. I guess he's figuring... This is when he starts to figure out the Kie part of it, right? And again, from here, he's trying to figure out the odd one out and that kind of thing, right? Much like myself, find the one that is the difference. That's funny considering the thematic ties between yourself and Kie, as we discover later on, that you two are the odd ones out, so to say. Oh yeah, here he remembers, okay, so the favor from Kanbaru, the one I've been yapping on about, is just borrowing the house. Am I stupid? Okay, sure. The cell phone is something that's referenced a little bit later on. This is when he starts to put the mystery all together, right? And again, based on this room, based on this stuff over here behind my camera, if I can show it. There we go. Based on that stuff, that's how the information is leaking as well. Essentially, the way I understand it, I'll reread it here, is that she's essentially just got her cell phone on, and it's sending information. She bugged the room by giving them her stuff, right? If I give them... Okay, and that's why Soa Kiseki stuff is stuffed in a locker, right? I don't want him seeing that stuff. Cool, that's Soa Kiseki's. Because this is Soa Kiseki's body, right? And this is my stuff because they think that this body is my body. So they would associate these two items when in reality that's not the case. In that way, Kie was able to keep her phone on the entire time and receive information. Cool. That's that part of it. If that's the case, then I know the place I need to be is not here and instead back at Kanbaru's house. This whole cross-dressing slumber party thing was a detour that was not needed, which again is pretty humorous. Again, the thing here being that the cell phone ran out of battery, or we didn't have that particular conversation in that room as well. Therefore, she didn't get that piece of information. So if she was targeting Kanbaru, she would just go to Kanbaru's house. Lo and behold, there she finds Deathtopia, and then they have their scene there, you know? Makes a lot of sense when you lay it out like that, so to say. Now again, I should have said something in the moment, because I looked at this character's hair, and I'm like, that doesn't match with the hair that we saw in Soa Kiseki from fucking, Gaian's little Photoshop, right? It doesn't match up. The eye color does, but the hair doesn't. The hair looks like Kie. I should have said that in the moment. I would have sounded so smart. But lo and behold, I didn't. So again, not over there, come over here. Deathtopia is calling Kie towards herself and not towards Kanbaru's room. And again, this is a huge surprise to Kie that Deathtopia is even here. From here, we have a pretty lengthy conversation between Kie and Deathtopia. I think it's pretty interesting. Again, the information reveal here is pretty good. I'm obviously not going to go through it step by step because, I know the mystery already, so going through the reveals here aren't particularly interesting. But yeah, again, I was throwing the investigation off by using your name. Deathtopia is incensed that you would use my name to commit murders. I would never do such a thing. Oh yeah, that's another thing as well. Hachikuji definitely jumped to Araragi's aid as well, so she's definitely here listening. Deathtopia here says that I told the goddess of that shrine to just kind of sit away for a little bit as I have my conversation, which I don't know why Hachikuji agreed. I guess she's just always listening in. I do think there's some interesting lines there about Kie wanting to bury Deathtopia close to the shrine in order to give her respect. Again, I respect that you gave me this power, right? You gave me the power to enact my revenge and so forth, and, I wanted to repay that in some way, even after death. It's an interesting kind of philosophy there. Deathtopia starts here by being kind of smug about what she's doing. My hard and cool bloodline, I basically gave it to you. Is that what you've been doing, using that cool of a bloodline just for revenge? Is that what you wanted? Is that why you wanted to become a vampire? Again, I didn't tell everybody about that part. I made up some kind of lie about how I sucked your blood because I wanted to show off to an old friend. That wasn't the case. The case was that you came to me and begged me to be a vampire. So let me open episode 1. That's most definitely what's happening at the end of this scene here, no? Most definitely, that's definitely what's occurring, and then we go from here. This is the moment where she asks, can I be a vampire now, please? It all makes sense, chat room, that's crazy. The part that Deathtopia here didn't expect, of course, was the whole me becoming sick from it. Like, the food poisoning angle is still the truth, right? I didn't expect to become mummified myself upon vampirizing you. And yeah, this is where the show makes it really direct. Is there another idiot throughout time and history that has requested to become a vampire from you? Yeah, we had a whole arc about it. It was called Acerola Bon Appetit, and it was pretty damn good. Kiss Shot, Acerola, whatever you want to call her, that's a person. So that's a pretty clear connection we're making with the characters, right? The reason behind wanting to become a vampire is a little bit different between both, I would say, though, right? One is very adult, one has a very adult reason for doing so, and another has a very childish reason for doing so, I would say. But again, it's also a matter of perspective. We're not in the perspective of Kie. We don't see the everyday trials and tribulations she goes through to want to, again, do the things that she does. We don't see the justifications, where again, we had episode 6.5, I think it was, the little short story episode. We saw the justification for why Kiss Shot wanted to do what she wanted to do, or Acerola, whatever you want to say, the beautiful princess. We saw the justification there. We saw how the tragedy and the curse there behind that. We also knew the rest of the story from there. We knew that she had to become a vampire so that she could participate in the plot some 600 years later as well, right? We knew that that had to happen. I like the dichotomy we're producing here between the two, how one is justified and one was not, based on reveal of information. Again, maybe that speaks to a reason why you even agreed to do the vampirization in the first place. I can't speak today. You were feeling kind of nostalgic, right? You wanted to see Kiss Shot, right? So you wanted to see Kiss Shot, and then you got nostalgic about somebody asking you to be a vampire. Of course you got a little bit sentimental about it. Araragi himself seems to be concerned about the meal issue, right? But what he's not considering is that, it isn't assaulter and victim. What if the victim wanted to be assaulted? Now, specifically, that reminds me of a line from the first episode as well. Specifically, Kie says that, I wish somebody would come along and assault me. That is a specific line she says. So it's very fun that that's being referenced right here at the very end as well. Again, Araragi, from his perspective, his limited kind of perspective on vampirism almost, he can't understand the kind of concept of Acerola Bon Appetit. He can't understand a person wanting to become a vampire, because that's just who Araragi is. That kind of preservation of human life above everything else, that has been something that's characterized him from very, very early, right? Think about Monogatari. It's a huge motivator there behind what he does. This unhappy medium keeping everybody alive, right? He could not understand the concept of somebody wanting to become a vampire. Instead, he's selfless to the point where he wants to bear that cross and nobody else. Here, Deathtopia almost passes judgment on Kie in comparison to Kiss Shot, right? Kiss Shot had this hardcore and cool and sublime idea that I couldn't even think of behind becoming a vampire. And that whole vampirization has borne fruit, right? I see her now and I'm proud of her. I'm proud of the the thing that she's become, right? I'm not proud of the thing that you've become, Kie, not based on your actions thus far. You haven't made me proud. It does speak to a general level of hope. I hope that Kie stays in the show. I can't see any reason why she wouldn't stay in the show. She is a pretty interesting character in this regard, now that I think the implication from the end of the episode is that she's going to be human again. That'd be an interesting one to grapple with. Somebody that got vampirized that became human again. It's almost like what Araragi wanted, but not quite. That's very interesting. There's a general level of hope. I think Deathtopia sees something in Kie and wants the efforts here as well to bear fruit ultimately, right, from her. I think that's what we want, I think. Almost passing judgment on you. Yeah, you used my power to greedily devour humans. Do you feel better now? Was the revenge good? And again, she finds that it's ultimately fruitless. Again, there's this void-like feeling between it all. This isn't... It's not making my adolescence any better, killing all these people. And honestly feels like she's trapped from the process as well. I can't afford to stop now as well. I have to keep going. That's right, I haven't even accomplished what I set out to do to begin with. I'm not even half done, right? And for that, she came here dodging countless eyes. Again, she's looking for Kambaro. She's searching out the ultimate mastermind behind the current conditions of the club, even if Kambaro doesn't realize how ultimately toxic it is, right? And again, you can't really blame Kambaro for that, but you kind of can, but you can't. Anyway, it's weird. That's what I came here for. This general kind of tone of being disappointed with the vampiric experience continues here. It's the pits not being able to stand in the sun, and yeah, Deathtopia's trapped here for similar reasons. I can't really move from here because there's a barrier up and stuff, so like... You know, and then it's like, hey, Deathtopia, this is where you're supposed to, like, you know, list off all the cool things about being a vampire to me. You're doing a bad job of selling it. Again, maybe she doesn't have a high opinion of being a vampire either. On some level she does, she just understands the inherent disadvantages as well. From here we have a proposition. Deathtopia starts to offer Kie a couple of options, right? The first one would be to suck my blood. If you suck my blood dry, then you can become a human again. Sounds pretty cool. The other one would be to eat me. If you eat me, you become a master vampire. So, which choice, right? Well, there's three choices, actually. You can also just walk away. But which choice? Do you want to become a human again, or do you want to become an even more powerful vampire, right? She makes the hidden fourth choice, actually, which is to attack the protagonist instead of the vampire, which is pretty interesting. What she describes here is a business deal, right? Because, again, you get something out of it. Ultimately, you're looking for a way to go out, even if your life does continue by the very end. That's a very Monogatari sentiment. Life does continue, huh? Again, even when you think tonight's going to be your last night, it definitely isn't, and based on an unexpected thing. How tricky is that? Specifically, there's a line from Sadachi from earlier this season even. Life truly does continue. Again, that's the whole theme behind this kind of segment of Monogatari, right? All logic dictates that the story should be over by this point. But it's not, because life continues, and this story is much like life, and I think that's an interesting thematic line. I do like grammatically correct Deathtopia as well. It's like offering her to become a human. Kie responds with, I didn't say that I didn't like being a vampire. It's like, yeah, you said it was the worst. It's like, stop correcting my grammar. Again, fun distinction between adult and child as well there again. That's pretty good. Again, I feel like she's picking the lesser of two evils here with the vampirism. In Kie's eyes, she sees being a high school girl as something even below vampirism, right? Vampirism may suck. Being a vampire might suck, but sure beats being a high school girl. I should mention some of the stage direction stuff going on as well, which of course is loaded with a bunch of stuff from the rest of the Monogatari series. Again, performing on this stage, who are the performers, who are behind the scenes, all that kind of jazz that we've been talking about. Of course, this showmanship angle that Deathtopia brings to everything. Loves a spotlight, Deathtopia. And again, this kind of difference between the bled and the bled? This red and the blue kind of tinges here in the spotlights, right? Obviously the vampirism with the red and the high school girl with the deep blue, as we discussed later in the scene. That red and that blue distinction there being more and more pronounced there, and even that kind of dual-pronged approach there from the from the vampirism. Yeah, true. Yeah, they're making it bleedingly obvious now that I'm looking at it, for sure. I do think this shot's like really cool, where she kind of like jumps in the air and then kind of floats behind Deathtopia here. Kind of like this predator angle, like she's going to take her out, but Deathtopia is kind of in control of everything the entire time. And yeah, taking it back upon the time where, yeah, it is a business deal. What's in it for you? Well, I'm going to die regardless, so I would rather you kill me and my death have some dignity to it and have a little bit of a story to it. Very Monogatari sentiment as well, that my death must have a story, there must be significance. I just can't die of starvation, that would be stupid. So instead I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory and power you up so you can continue the story, or continue your human story, or whatever you choose later on, right? Make sure there's some significance narratively to my death, which is again very fourth wall in a way that Monogatari loves to do. Again, goes to talk about the spotlight motif as well, the showbiz angle. I can't die without dignity, I can't die off screen, I can't do any of that stuff. There must be a reason for all of this. Of course, dying of starvation comes with another angle to it, of course, as well, that being the whole Acerola Bon Appetit angle, and that being the major threat through that segment of the arc. If I ended up eventually just dying of starvation once again, what would Kishot do? What would she say to that? A huge part of Kishot's decision there at the very end, and that kind of, her decision to walk away eventually as well, is to allow, it's selfless, it's to allow Deathtopia not to die, that connection between the two. So again, it'd be spitting in the face of that kind of whole arc if she was to eventually just die of starvation anyway. The other element of this as well is that 80 to 90% of vampires die of suicide. If we specifically think throughout the rest of the story, that kind of statistic rings true. I can definitely think of one, Seishiro. He died of suicide, of course. And again, I want you to kill me before I end up killing myself through my self-imposed starvation. Of course, again, still the kiss shot angle to it. Still that baggage from the beautiful princess and that blessing/curse that's going on there. If I was to ever kill myself, voluntarily end my own life, or not prolong it, if you wanted to get technical, then again, I would be just as bad as all the subjects that the beautiful princess caused to commit suicide as well. So again, there's lots of significance here. Again, this begs the question of how the story is told in the novels, because I don't believe it's told in this order, to the point where, again, keen readers would need to make these connections themselves, and this information wouldn't be quite as straightforward. Interesting one to consider. He asks the question here of why me? Why choose me for this kind of thing? It's like, well, I'm not choosing you. You can just like walk away. There's only a limited number of people that can end up killing me. You're one of them, right? I'm just taking the opportunity because right now I have no regrets. I'm going to die anyway, so yeah, she's very matter-of-fact for a vampire is my point. I like the no regrets angle with this kind of relationship between Araragi and Shinobu on screen, right? Now that I've seen this kind of thing can exist and that my good old friend is doing well, I can now pass on with dignity and respect and without any lingering regrets and stuff. I think that's quite beautiful, and again addresses that deep connection that exists between both Deathtopia and Kishot. Again, contrast this, carefree attitude that Shinobu has with her old self as the beautiful princess. She couldn't even fathom doing anything of the sort, having this amount of fun, right? Something we've witnessed in the show as well. So, again, seeing this, I now feel okay about everything, This almost causes frustration for Kie. She's like, how dare she have a good time? So now I'm going to try and kill you. And again, right here at this moment, she chooses to kill, right? In a last-ditch thing, Deathtopia asks for a name, and this sets up, of course, Araragi to enter and say the name of the vampire in question. I've just been referring to her as Kie the entire time, but that's the reveal here. Harumaze Kie! And at this moment as well, we've kind of inverted the colors to the point where this hair goes back to black, which I think is a fun detail for the audience as well, who recognize this character as the first character we saw in this arc. Again, I thought her character design from very early was good enough that it could be in the show. So again, I have an eye for this kind of stuff. I'm pretty switched on, chat. I don't know. I do like the dialogue here and how it's spoken. There's a very matter-of-fact tone to him explaining the mystery here, right? It's like, Harumaze Kie, the first victim, there was a body swap. It's like all very small sentence fragments. It's like It's almost like he's out of breath while bicycling and is saying this to himself as he's figuring out the mystery. This would also be the second time Araragi has cross-dressed and ridden his bike, so again, we're just crossing things off the list, I guess. So first things first, the mummified bodies are kind of dried out enough that you could mistake them for anybody. That's just kind of how it works. We've also established that they kind of have similar haircuts. The lot of them, right? Again, that comes from some of this Kambaru fan club stuff. They want to copy her hairdo, or at least one of her old hairdos anyway. The only reason we identified this body as Kie was based on her belongings. Conversely, if you give the mummy your uniform, your bag, and your phone, wouldn't you make everybody think that that mummy is just you? So okay, if we establish that as true, then it could have been anybody that she swapped with, right? It could be any of the girls right there in that vampiric body right now, right? But from here impacts Menako and what she said about the cell phone, right? And yeah, this is how the information ended up leaking. I do like this river as we're talking about the leaking as well. I think that's pretty clever. How did the vampire discover Guyan and her crew? Well, Menako basically said it, right? This code was recorded on a cell phone, and nowadays a cell phone is like part of your brain. And again, a brain connects to the eyes, the ears, and the brain and everything, right? It gives you information. So again, if I'm thinking about that one random line, the phone is also eyes and ears. So the phone has been in the room with us when we've been having these conversations. Again, that room is so conspicuous now that you think about it as well, all the different screens around and that kind of thing, where we had most of these kind of investigative conversations, if I can speak. Just makes sense, right? That the phone's been in the room and been feeding information. So again, their shit was basically wiretapped, but that wiretap runs out of battery eventually. Phones don't stay on forever, right? Even in kind of standby mode. Therefore, she didn't get the crucial piece of information that Kambaru was sleeping over at her friend's and thought that she would be at this house. That's why she ended up attacking this location and not where Kambaru actually was. Therefore, that's why I know it's exactly... There was also some timing stuff there with identifying that it was Kie, but I think that's less important to talk about. Yeah, we figured out who it was and we made our way here in time. I think, again, pretty good mystery. I like the Soa Kaseki mystery as well, that kind of story we went with. So, again, Monogatari still has that ability to surprise. Absolutely, right here at the very end. And yeah, Araragi-senpai is here, he's come in, he's saving the day. We call him a pervert, but instead he is a protagonist. That is why he's here. There's also some pun here. You call me a pervert, but you're the one who perversed from human to devil? What? What are you talking about? I don't care. Now, this is interesting as well, because Araragi's reputation kind of precedes him here. We already know he's popular with the underclassmen and Kambaru spread rumors and all that kind of jazz, right? But she knows him on a little bit more of a level. You like saving people, right? That's like your whole complex. Like, you like saving humans specifically. Though there are no humans here. In trying to save Deathtopia, you're not saving a human, you're saving another devil. Even you're not a human, Araragi, if you really think about it. I do like this shot here as well, casting the 4 different shadows. I think that's quite effective. Again, this kind of play off of the whole spotlight thing. Yeah, very stage direction-y. I really like it. Araragi explains here that he sees a lot of himself in her, and then it's like, yeah, I didn't give up on living either, much like you didn't give up on living as well. I just decided to keep living by being a vampire and killing other people, which is, again, the exact opposite of your modus operandi, I would say. And again, the perspective shift here is so very interesting, right? You almost remind me a little bit of Nodeko as well, now that I think about it, who is another character that reflects Araragi. Araragi says there's still time. You can make these people human again. You can go back to normal. Everything can be okay. It's like, well, no. Who says that they even want to go back to normal? Who says that they're not happier now as lifeless husks as opposed to what they were before? Who's to say I'm not saving them right now? Again, why would I want to go back to like it was before? I've got power now. I've got all this. I've got all that. And because of your lack of connection to being a high schooler anymore, you've kind of lost relatability to these kind of ideas. You forgot what it's actually like. You changed, man, you changed. That kind of thing, right? Oh, I do like the puppets, the kind of marionettes here as well. That's very interesting. All these, yeah, character designs look kind of similar as well. At least a few of them. Yeah, her argument here is, who's to say that being a high schooler doesn't feel like being a dried up mummy anyway, right? Who's to say that it's any better? Who's to say this? Who's to say that? Have you really graduated and forgotten all the trials and tribulations you had to go through? Specifically, again, remember Araragi is like a 16-year-old. That's when he's going through like the worst period of his life, pretty much, right? That's right at that spring break type area. Did you forget these feelings upon becoming a college student? Did you think that we were all enjoying bubbly adolescence? This reminds me of a scene earlier in this arc as well with Karen, right? She's enjoying a bubbly adolescence as well, right? She's just entered high school. It's all going well for her, all going kind of well and good, right? I think Araragi forgot about the bad times as well. I think, and again, I like the shot here reflecting that. We're on the other side of the water. We're seeing the other perspective there, you know? Or blood, I should say. The blueness of adolescence is deeper than you think, right? And again, standing in grand contrast to the blood red of vampirism, right? These are the two choices as presented earlier. It's a dark blue similar to darkness. Do you forget all of this, Araragi, right? Deathtopia pipes up here and saying, it was like 14 centuries ago when I was a teen. It's like, shut up, oldie, we don't care. Again, she's adult to the point where all of this seems kind of hilarious. They're like, you guys are so young. Anyway, kill me or don't, I don't care. She reframes the question here, right? Well, it is eat or be eaten, right? But you may also make another choice here. Do you want to eat your master or eat the protagonist, right? Now, this would be much like your killings on the rest of your high school little buddies, right? It'd be a killing based on revenge, a killing based on a lot of things, rather than a killing based on gaining power or becoming human or anything else, right? It's hugely emotionally charged. It's a very high school decision to lash out at Araragi here. Even breaking the fourth wall here somewhat, right? Let's make even more mistakes. I already know what I've done is fucked up, right? But let's continue going, right? I've made my decision. It's a blood red decision. I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's murder the protagonist. And yeah, from here we do the whole character introduction pastiche we did from the very start of the show, right? Or start of this episode, I should say, right? Age 16, height 170 centimeters, position reserve. She's not even on the team. And here's the Kishko, of course. My favorite play is fake. Do you get it? Do you get it? She reflects Araragi. That's the whole thing. Yeah. The fake thing, right? I feel like my whole life is a fake. I'm a fake basketball, I'm a fake high school student, I'm a fake vampire, I'm doing everything for the wrong reasons, I feel like an abject failure at everything. Hey, pot, meat, kettle, you're about to kill the person that thought the exact same things as you once upon a time. And this time for sure, I will eat the protagonist. Just at this moment, Shinobu realizes that there's danger and she can't sit idly by anymore. She jumps into action, of course. But poor Hachikuji, she tries to jump into action as well, but she's much less intimidating than the other two, I must say. So you jumped out of there, you're just kind of scampering down the stairs. Oh no. Yeah, again, snails aren't very fast, we know that. Instead, we have the bluest one of them all come in and slam her down. The color change here is also fantastic, going from these deep reds, of course, and everything, of course, changing to blue upon Kaganui's entrance. It's like, hey, I made that decision for you. You're going to become human whether you like it or not, and here's the blue to accompany it, right? Such a great scene. Putting an end to this childish delusion, all these other things, right? I'm just going to slam you. I don't give a fuck. I'm an adult. I'm so far removed from your perspective that I cannot begin to understand it. I see vampire, I kill vampire. In that way, being an adult is so much more easy. I just know I see this as nothing but trivial, to the point where I'll just murder with impunity. Again, as opposed to Araragi, who has those hesitations. That's the difference there. It's just a great moment, a fan favorite character returning. Again, feet not touching the ground. Just brilliant. Very well done, very good. And again, she gets to little bro him as well by calling him cute for the twin tails and the pajamas and such. Very cool. This line here from Deathtopia is also fantastic, right? So Kaganui's like, there's no such thing as going too far when it comes to monsters like this. And it's like, well, even from the eyes of me, the monster, you look like you go way too far, Kaganui. Maybe you're the true monster in all of this. Again, Kaganui has always been personified by absolutes. She believes absolute things and goes at it gung-ho. Again, almost the exact opposite of a Kaiki type, right? I would describe the relationship here between Suicide Master and Kaganui as banter-esque. It seems like they're bantering with each other more than anything else, right? The only fledgling vampire I see here is you, Deathtopia, mwahaha. Like that kind of vibe. Yeah, I mean, again, it would surely be more serious if Deathtopia was at full strength and that kind of thing, right? I think that's what we imply. And back then it was like, you were the young girl, Kaganui. Things really didn't go well. Or don't go well, right? It's true that my current self is a far cry from one of your targets, but to think of the irony of myself being saved by you, right? It seems I have lived again. We have the flip on her kind of catchphrase that we've had, right? Which seems that I've died again, seems that I've lived again. No matter what, I keep on living, right? Well, it seems like I've died again and it seems like I've lived again are the same. They mean the same thing, right? It's just a different flip on it, right? Despite everything, despite me thinking my life would end here, life continues, life keeps going. All these themes that we've kind of seen in Monogatari up to this point. And that's a surprising thing to you. I think, yeah, again, and that flip on the catchphrase there is very purposeful. I love Kaganui. She just tells her to shut up. That's fantastic. Screenshot that. Yeah, I'll be using that one later. That's a fantastic one. Hell yeah. From here, we see the genuine reintroduction of a long-time favorite character in Senjugahara, of course. She had but one line during Nadeko Medusa. No, Nadeko Draw. There we go. That's the name of that arc. But yeah, we haven't literally seen her since the last scene of Zoku in a genuine manner. So it's nice to see Senjo again. Still waiting on Hanakawa. Any minute now, chat. She'll show up. I swear, I'm not coping. She's doing the ponytail thing. She looks very business casual. And she's eating a kebab. We use Senjugahara to frame the epilogue here, right? Well, what happened to her? Well, she was basically... We thought that Kaganui would fucking murder the shit out of her, but she was granted pardon, essentially, right? You make those 4 girls human again, and you become human yourself, you know? I guess it was more adult circumstances than juvenile conditions, I would say, which again talks to this general theme we'll talk about in a moment as well. We get a reflection of Kie's eyes here as well. They've turned back into that blue that was present very early in the season as well, very early in this arc. That opening scene is very, very pointed now. Her eyes specifically go from that blue to that red by the very end of that opening scene. So shoutouts to that. They knew their shit very early. Again, she's almost cursed back to being that human, back to being that, that deep blue that she spoke about, that depression, right? Which is sad. I hope, again, there's more content with her. Another question, why are you cosplaying the angry video game nerd? What are you wearing? He needs some new drip, chat. That's what I've decided. Continuing the epilogue here, we have Suicide Master who got deported. So goodbye, Suicide Master. They had a simple farewell, her and Kishot. Again, it came with the acknowledgement, of course, that this wasn't a final farewell. They will meet again at some point during their lifetimes, I'm sure of it. From here, Senjo's really quiet, and it's like, oh my god, it felt like Shinobu was keeping secrets from me too. What's the secret? Again, the reason why she was being quiet is she was contemplating the question that Araragi asked, right? It was a belated reply to the whole what are humans to you question from a couple of episodes ago now. That's why she was being so quiet up to this point. And what she says is that humans are monsters, which is so very interesting, and again, attaches itself to this basketball club stuff very well. All the high school girls with each other are monsters. It's bitchy, it's terrible, they're terrible to each other, all this different stuff, right? It again goes to show this kind of opposite negative stuff that I've been talking about with this entire arc, this entire show for a very long time, right? Humans are monsters and monsters are humans, right? Who is the monster, who is the man? That's been, again, one of the central conceits of this thing for a very long time. But seeing that so blatantly directed back at Araragi here, and upon this decision, again, in the episode of Kie becoming human or becoming monster, it just makes perfect sense, you know? I guess Senjo in this time is thinking about the same thing. She's thinking about that relationship. I guess she's thinking about what happened to Kie versus what happened to Suicide Master, right? Which one is ultimately more humane? Which got they're both the culprits, right? They're both responsible for what happened here. They both should be punished accordingly, but they weren't. It's almost like Kie got the worst thing possible for her, and Deathropia got off basically scot-free, right? So what is the true difference there between the two? And who displayed more human kind of emotions here between the two? Basically everybody in this arc has been a fucking monster, right? And then think about Kaganui. Kaganui's the most monstrous of them all. She out-monstered even Deathtopia. Even Deathtopia was like, whoa, fucking back up, you know? But she's extremely human. So what gives there, you know? That's the kind of question we're pontificating about upon the ending of this arc. Senjugahara also brings up an important point. What about that promise that you had with Gaian? Is she gonna leave you alone now? Araragi thinks it's taken effect, at least for now. Lies, deceptions, and fakes. If a human's human side is going to get involved like this, the establishment of a rumor division is imperative after all. She's building a team, and I think Nadeko is part of it. oh my god, the Avengers, the Monogatari Avengers are here. And here we get into the kind of central thesis, or the thesis ending statement of this arc, I would say. The stuff about being child versus being adult, which has always been present in the series, but becomes very pronounced here. I guess Senju just gets kind of bored and says, oh, goodness, the time. I guess I'm going to go to my next lecture. I just think that's very funny. She just gets tired of him. It's time for me to go, bye. And in a very cold manner, if I have anything I want from you, I'll contact you. Isn't that the template for when you're not going to contact me? And then, yeah, notices the phone, notices the cute little strap. His says FC because he's part of the fan club. I think that's what we're trying to get across. I guess he is kind of past the point of no return. He did attend the slumber party, so he's basically a member. He might as well have a keychain. And yeah, oh, this is great. I guess in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm part of the group now. I might as well help Higasa and Kambaru solve the issue, right? You smile. Senjugahara smiles. You want to know why she smiles? Because this is the reason why she fell in love with Araragi, right? He just helps. He doesn't care. There's nothing in it for him. It's just in his nature to help. Again, this attaches itself all the way back to the first two arcs of the show, in Hitagi Crab and Mayui Snail, of course, right? It's the reason why she confessed in the first place. You see thing, you do thing. Again, you solved my problem in like 2 days when nobody else could do anything for me, so I love you, essentially. And I see the same thing. It doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter when. You still do the same thing even now. That's great. I missed this moment. I think this is wonderful. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, my rewatch. Upon this, isn't that exactly why you're still a child, or exactly where you're still a child? I guess both make sense. Shut up, me. Yeah, again, almost inferring that this kind of selflessness of himself, right? Or his generosity, or these kind of things are childish things to have. His empathy to want to help other people. Is that childish? And again, framing it like this in comparison to everything else in the arc is very interesting. Again, potentially that's why I showed hesitation and Kaganui did not. She is truly an adult embodied, right? Even now I couldn't help but be empathetic towards Kie's cause, right? I think about her perspective and I do hesitate. That's the reason why she loves you, dog. That's the reason why you're you. Kaganui here says that she doesn't hesitate because she's an adult, right? That was a particularly unique reply, which I can't think of as representative of the majority opinion. It was serene and lacked all hesitation. Her reply there even, right? She's so very sure of herself. But if to be childish is to not be sure of yourself, then I hope I remain internally childish, right? I hope I always question things like this and look at other perspectives and be empathetic and all these other things, right? Essentially, Araragi says, despite everything, I don't think I'll ever leave my moratorium, which is like a break, right? It's a stop of activity. I'm still in this kind of phase of being in the middle of being a child and being an adult. And I think to this day, despite everything that's happened before this point, I'm still hesitating and I'm still unsure. And that's also good. Again, the ending isn't like hesitation bad. Look at the framing here. It's like all of this is good. This is a good thing. This is a blue sky. This is a good omen, you know? And again, that's where we're going to end the episode. Again, Araragi maintains being Araragi, and he's not as brutal as everyone else, man. And he's a good guy. And I think people around him recognize that, and he's starting to recognize that too. And I hope he doesn't lose that part of himself as he continues to grow. And again, I've talked for way too long about Monogatari again, so we'll leave it there. I'd love to see some other thoughts from some other people on what has occurred in this episode. I think it'd be an interesting one to talk about in comparison with everything else. I'm sure that I've missed stuff and so forth. If people want to add to that, I will not say no. I will not say no. Yeah, next week will be interesting. I'm unsure if there'll be another episode there. I hope there is. But new arc. I'm sure where we're going. If I was to rank this one, probably it dragged a little bit, probably a little bit lower than the other two this season, but still a pretty good Monogatari arc, I would say, all in all. I think the ending and those reveals there do a lot for it, and will definitely be the thing that I remember the arc for most, I would say. Hello everybody, I am a big dum-dum. Do you want to know why I'm a big dum-dum? I didn't know that this was actually the end for the foreseeable future of Monogatari. At least until they announce something, I think that's the vibe. I have since been told this from the Discord. Do not expect Monogatari next week. There is no more to come, which I guess leaves me with some questions overall to put here at the end about Monogatari in 2024. And how was it? Was it good? Did it live up to the billing? Yeah, I thought it was pretty damn good, yeah. I would rank the arcs that we saw in this kind of chunk of the story whatever you would call it, often monster season or whatever they choose to delineate it as after the fact, as, you know, medium high to high tier arcs, I would say. Yeah, they're all just pretty good. That being said, I think that the arcs in this particular segment decrease in quality as we go, though maintaining a high baseline the entire time. So I think Nadeko Draw is easily the strongest content of this chunk of the story, followed by Acerola Bon Appetit, and then of course Shinobu Mastered, just rounding out the kind of end there. I'd say it felt a little bit stilted, potentially. That was the way I watched it as well. I watched it all 1 week at a time, which is probably not completely advisable, I would say. I just thought it kind of meandered for a little bit more than it should have. I think the content at the end, the reveals there within, and the concepts gotten across, as I've said in this video, are quite good overall. But still, Nadeko Draw, extremely good, only growing in my mind after everything that we've seen. Yeah. Is there a common kind of theme between this arc? Maybe. It's pretty scattershot, if I'm honest. And yeah, Araragi only appearing right there at the very end too. Yeah, weird one to talk about, but I'm not sure if I can make any inferences in the macro, but in the micro, each of the individual arcs are quite entertaining and well produced and good and stuff. So yeah, shoutouts to that. The other thing is, if you're watching this on Patreon, please just add me on Discord and tell me what to do next week, because I don't even know what I'm going to do. So yeah, if you guys have some ideas, I'm all ears. Yeah, signing off, I guess, me from the future. But yeah, looking forward to new stuff. Looking forward to next week, of course. I'm very tired, so I'll go and lie down or something now. And leave you guys with yeah, just that. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Patreon if you want to be 1 week ahead. Like the video, subscribe, Discord, all that normal stuff. And I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Ciao, cheerio, goodbye.